Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? I hope you're well. I really appreciate the support, the ongoing support. It's great, and I'm also excited about impacting more people because the platform is getting bigger. So I'm excited about that. So in today's live stream, I'm going to be teaching men and women who have an anxiety disorder, whether it's social anxiety, it's life anxiety, it's financial anxiety, it's health anxiety. Anxiety manifests in all different ways, shapes, sizes, areas, but nonetheless, the problem is anxiety. So I'll be taking you through everything that I know. I'll answer questions. If I can't answer your question, it's because either I don't know the answer, or if I feel that your question is inappropriate, I will decline to answer the question because I think it's important to respect people. I try to respect everybody, treat everyone how I want to be treated. Of course, it's inevitable. People will come on, there'll be critics and things like that. I always forgive. I don't mind that. If there's also questions that are going to take me a bit more time, please be patient because questions around anxiety are not always quick answers. And I might have to direct you to another live stream or video and channel, but I'll do the best I can. We'll have a great time. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Jonathan O'Halloran. I'm a confidence coach. If you know my story, then you'd know that I suffered with anxiety all my life. It was destroying my life. It got so bad in my early 20s that I was suicidal. So I've been through depression, suicidal thinking, panic attacks, anxiety attacks, low self-esteem, paranoia. I was able to overcome that in my 20s through praying, through faith, through listening to a message from a man called Les Brown, which motivated me and inspired me to go out and live my purpose. After becoming successful as a teacher and also as a person, I had some great years in my life that went really well and everything like that. But then in my early 30s, I had a mental health breakdown. I got unwell. That's the second part of my story, which I'm really excited to share. I have been sharing it and it is a continuation. Some of you know about that, some of you don't. It's fine if you don't know anything about me, even better, because you can experience a coaching session with me today. And if you enjoy it, it's brilliant. And if you don't like me and you don't like what I'm teaching, that's also fantastic as well. Don't take that personal. I appreciate you coming on. Nonetheless, I'll still be helping you either way, giving you all the information that I've learned. So I've been coaching for 12 years now. I'm an expert in what I do. I've got a lot of experience, but I also don't know everything. I don't know every single thing. I don't have all the answers to the deepest questions in life. If people are going to start asking me that, I'm certainly not perfect, which is great. I'm a work in progress. But in this area of what I teach and help people with, 10 out of 10. I'm the best in the world at what I do. And that's what I believe. That's what I feel. I get great results for those that are committed. And I've had good people around me as well. I've learned from mentors, good men, good women, good teachers, some paid mentors, which was an amazing investment, some free mentors, which I really appreciated. So I haven't just learned from teaching people for 12 years, which I've learned a hell of a lot. And I've, coached people from all around the world, which is amazing and flattering that people have traveled from all different countries to come to London to meet with me, to have a great time, and for me to teach them, and for them to also share their story with me. So that's been an amazing journey. I've also made a lot of changes to my old teaching. Some of you will know that, some of you won't know, but that's fine. That will be for another podcast or another story. When I first started teaching, I just used to coach men because that was my passion back then. And I felt that's what I was gifted to do, which I was. And then later on, I realized I started getting messages from women saying I'm inspiring them. They're getting a lot out of my work. Although my teaching initially was orientated towards men, a lot of women were getting a lot of results. And then female friends, previous relationships. And I made a decision, hasn't been that long ago, to start to teach both. Why would I leave out one when I can help both and I'm good at it and I have a passion for it, and both men and women have helped me and saved me at times in my life. You can also go on Instagram. Let's have a look at my Instagram. I'll give you the address. Where's my Instagram? So my Instagram is Confidence Coach Jonathan. You can follow me there. I give loads of value. My training, dieting, anxiety tips, client successes, some of the traveling. It's all there. There's loads of value there that you can get and learn from and watch. I've just signed up to TikTok. I'm a bit new to TikTok, but you can follow me there at Jonathan Coach 40, Jonathan Confidence Coach. And you've got the YouTube channel. Facebook, I don't use as much. I just post my videos there. LinkedIn, I don't use as much as well. I post videos, but the main platform on is YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Right, so let's get into this talk. I've made notes. And I'd like to have a few minutes to relax and get into the talk. I hope everyone's had a good day. I had a good day today. I'll be talking about that as well. And I did a live stream this morning that you can check out. That was about 2 hours. So there's loads and loads of videos and live streams on my channel that have got so much information and value and experience on anxiety. So have a look on the channel, because there might be a specific area that you want to excel in, because as you know, anxiety is a big area. And there's lots of different coaching and transformations I've got there. Right, so. Also as well, don't be nervous, don't be shy. You can ask me any questions in the box below. You're not going to interrupt me. I can read the question during the talk or after the talk. We'll get to that. So I'm going to continue. I had a coaching session today with a good client of mine. He's doing my 1-year confidence program. And we usually do the sessions in person, which I love, but there's been a lot of travel problems at the moment. So we did it over video call. And there were lots of things we discussed in the session, but one of the main things which came out was most people with anxiety are smart. They know what their problems are. They know the patterns. Actually, let me read this. This is going to help me to guide this. I've made a note of this, make it easier. So people with anxiety, they kind of know what their problems are. Usually they know all of it. But the problem is they don't face their anxieties because obviously they're scared of it. And that was my biggest challenge. And that's the biggest challenge of, with everyone, not just people who have got an anxiety disorder. I just want to put something into perspective. Now, if you're living and breathing and you're human, you're going to have anxiety. Anxiety is normal. It's part of being human. You care. We've got fears. We've got expectations. Life is challenging externally and internally. So it's normal. So having anxiety is normal. Everyone has it. But some people have got really, really bad anxiety where it goes sort of beyond normal and it's abnormal. I was one of the people whose anxiety was abnormal. It was destroying my life. It was ruining my life. I couldn't live. I was suffering all the time with depression, with anxiety. It was so intense that it was jeopardizing my life. So for those men and women who recognize what I'm saying and you have that, I'm really speaking to you and teaching you. I'm not excluding anyone or helping anyone, but it's really for people who have got a disorder. And that's not putting a label on anyone. And I did a video you should check out on YouTube, which is your anxiety is not your identity. So I'm not labeling anyone and I'm not labeling me. But sometimes, as you know, we've got to use a label and a description to explain something to people so they can help them. A bit like when people say, what is it you do, Jonathan? What's your title? When I say I'm a confidence coach. But I'm not identified too much with that title, because there's many things I do within my confidence coaching. I could say that I'm a discipline coach, I'm a courage coach, I'm an anxiety coach, I'm a therapist, I'm a relationship coach, I'm a financial coach, I'm a fitness coach, because I do all these things. But obviously I can't add that as a title. It's never going to end. People get confused. So you boil it down, but I don't take the label too serious, but obviously being professional, running a business, explaining to people. So I guess it's a bit like our name. Obviously our name's important to us, but really it's just the name. Our identity, who we are, is a lot more than just our name. Wouldn't you agree? Because we can change our name and other people can call us different names. So an anxiety disorder is not an identity, not unless you make it. So that's lesson number one. And I had to learn that the hard way. If I can help any men and women, to not have to go through some of the painful lessons that I did, that's brilliant. But the reality is, everyone with anxiety is going to have to go through pain, a lot of pain, especially if they want to live their purpose and be successful and be happy in life. That's inescapable. Also, if people choose not to live their dreams, and that's their choice, they've got a right, they're still going to experience pain. Pain comes, you already know that. So I really like to explain a lot of these things so people can have a better understanding, and then we can move forward from here and just give you the truth, my story, some of it, things I've learned, and a collection of a lot of the truths that are out there already. Also as well, what's great about these streams act as a video. So people can watch this live stream later on if they can't make this stream. Right, so let's come back to the question. Now, let's just read through a description of someone who has an anxiety disorder so we can just get some education and some awareness, because I can't assume that all of you know all the different areas of anxiety, and it might help you a lot. Those of you that know, that's great. Okay, so for people that have got an anxiety disorder, it can make everything frightening and overwhelming, from things like the fear of booking tickets for a plane or a cinema or an event, the fear of paying your bills, your rent, your tax, the fear of cleaning your apartment, the fear of meeting up with people, even people that you love, the fear of checking your emails or the letters that come to your address, fear of saying no to someone, a fear of making money in your business, a fear of forming intimate relationships with people, the fear of trusting people in case you get hurt, the fear of public speaking, the fear of making money, the fear of losing money, the idea of money, the fear of making phone calls, the fear of traveling to new places, and the fear of being judged by people, being judged by your friends, your family, and people that don't know you. These are all, well, they're not all, but these are many of the fears that I overcome and worked through, and that I've helped my clients over the years, and I continue. And I meet a lot of people, which is great. I'm grateful for that. Not just my clients or people that are interested in improving their life, but people I meet from day to day or throughout my travels. And these fears show up. And like I said to my client today, which you appreciate, we had a great conversation, confidence coaching conversation. And I said, you have to understand that these fears are normal, but we live in a culture, in a society where some people, not all, make people feel ashamed about having fears that are normal fears, but most people don't talk about them because they're worried about what people will think. So all people, even if they wouldn't classify themselves as someone who had an anxiety disorder, at some stage or another have had a fear of the things that I've read out. Now, yes, there are some people, definitely some people who, let's say, for example, myself, if you don't mind me using it as an example, or one of my friends or my clients, we don't have the fear of public speaking like someone who's never done it has, because we've done it and we've got experience. So it's become the known. So we've developed that skill. Some people physically would be petrified to go into a boxing ring and fight or have a sparring session. Now, that's a normal fear. Everyone is frightened to do that until they do it and they get used to it. I used to be I was petrified of boxing and sparring. So I eventually went and did it in my 20s as a way to, well, I wanted to do boxing anyway. And I wanted to gain some confidence in my life, and I wanted to be a better person. So I did it. But there's people that I've met that tell themselves they can't do it. So what I'm trying to say is, no one's perfect. I'm not. And we've all got strengths and weaknesses in different areas. But honestly, it's a choice. If you want to be amazing and brilliant at facing your anxieties, you can do it. Because I did it. And if I can do it, I'm not better than anyone or below anyone, then I know anyone else can do it. And when I was at my worst mental state in my life, in my early 20s, I honestly thought I was the most frightened person that ever walked and breathed and lived on the face of the earth, even though obviously that's not true. But I believed that. I felt that deep down, even though I would never have admitted it back then, because I was afraid of the shame and the criticism. I didn't want people to know that about me. So I started from rock bottom, from feeling not good enough, ashamed, unattractive, worthless, terrible, all that. All because I didn't understand my anxiety, and I didn't know that that wasn't true, but I believed it to be true for so long, and I made it an identity. So doing things that frightened me gave me so much confidence that the confidence saved my life, and it changed my life. And then I continued on. And I just want to make a point of saying, you know, I'm 40 years of age now. The reason I don't look it is because I use Nivea cream. My parents are good looking and good genetics, and I train and run. There's a little bit of a joke in that. But actually, my point is, the journey started for me 20 years ago. It doesn't feel like that. It's gone quick. So when I'm telling my story and teaching, I am sometimes talking from past tense, but the truth is the same and it works. So I might be sharing with all of you what I did at 21, so you can understand and get motivated and find courage in yourself, so you can go and face your anxiety in your life. And I also might tell you what I done today, an anxiety that I overcome today, yesterday. So I'm a huge believer in teaching through telling the truth, because you can't do any more than tell the truth, sharing my story and sharing it from a good place to change people's lives, which is what I practice and pray to do every day and every time I teach. So back to understanding an anxiety disorder a bit more. So the anxiety pattern that you've had your entire life is holding you back from being yourself and living your purpose. Just want to make sure this chat works. Can someone comment? I'll comment. I'll say hello. It's talking about anxiety. I get an anxiety that people are commenting and it's not coming up, and then they think I'm ignoring them, which I'm not. Sometimes the chat don't work. Right. So the anxiety pattern that you've had the anxiety pattern originates from childhood trauma. I'm sure a lot of people know that, but I'll assume that some people might not know that. That's where it originates from, the majority of it. The trauma is always because of being abused by a parent, whether it's willingly or unwillingly, they didn't mean to do it or they did mean to do it, or being abused by anyone. And that abuse and that criticism, whether it's verbal, physical, or anything else, that creates an abandonment anxiety. So the pain and the stress that we associate with the bad experience that we have had in our childhood, which has caused a person with an anxiety disorder to worry about those experiences repeating themselves again, create this anxiety. And this is why people typically, they don't even realize they do it until they realize it. They create what I would call, maybe that's a strong term, but we'll go for it now. They create a false identity to deal with the pain of feeling abandoned. And that might not literally be true. It could be true. Nonetheless, it's still really the same. So they create a false identity to cope with feeling abandoned from the abuse. And they also create a false identity to protect themselves from a potential future abandonment by a person. Abandonment anxiety, if not addressed, will negatively affect every relationship in your life, including your relationship with yourself. This is what creates the fear and the anxiety, if not addressed and understood and faced, defense mechanisms, procrastination, an avoidant personality, addiction, social isolation, self-sabotaging mechanisms, and also obsessive compulsive thinking. So the way that you build confidence and discipline and gratitude and mental and emotional strength is by doing the following. And this is a thing that I'm teaching every day and I'm living, and it's life-saving and changing. And I called it daily discipline. And it consists of gratitude, exercising, eating healthy, socializing, being creative, all those things. And I've just wrote here, right? This is a deep thing, we'll unravel it. Connecting to who you are and living your purpose is how you overcome these anxieties, these abandonment anxieties, these social anxieties, these life anxieties. And obviously, that is a lifelong journey. But people can make loads of progress right now. We can only do it one day at a time. So one of the mistakes that a lot of people make, and I made it at the start of my journey, they think of everything in the future. I've got to overcome this abandonment. I've got to overcome financial. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And it just creates more and more anxiety. But all you can do, and it's more than enough, is do what you can do each day. Live today. Be present today. And if you do everything today, and the next day, and the next day, in 6 months' time, you'll be a different person. You'll be a better version of yourself. Obviously, that's if, and the question marks on all of you if you're committed. So that gives you a bit of an understanding of what anxiety is, where it originates from, why you have it, and how to overcome it. I think that's something that people need to realize, and we all got to realize it. And I practice it every day and teach it to my clients and all the platforms, is that you have to be patient. You can't just go, well, you can see if it works, but generally things are going to take time. So this whole putting things off comes from the fear of anxiety, feeling it, experiencing it. So what I learned at the start of my journey, to state the obvious, because of my childhood and because of having both an amazing, loving upbringing, but also a very traumatic upbringing, and pain and stress and fear and danger, all of it, all in one, I became petrified of living. People, responsibility, love, money. I was so frightened of the feelings of being triggered by anxiety that I struggled to live in peace, because I didn't want to experience what I'd experienced in my childhood, because in my childhood it was so traumatic. As a young boy, obviously I was defenseless. I was a kid. I was innocent. I was a young boy. So when I was going through these traumatic experiences, I couldn't cope with it. And I told myself that, but I didn't realize that, well, when you're younger, it's not your fault. But at a certain age, it's your responsibility to, number one, get the help that you need, which is something that I didn't do. And I'm hoping that anyone who needs the help will go and get it. And I'm not referring to you contacting me for my services, for my coaching. If that's right, brilliant, and you'll do that. But I'm also referring to getting professional help from a doctor. I'm not a doctor and I'm not a mental health worker. I'm a confidence coach who helps people with anxiety that are at a certain level of anxiety where I can help them. It's safe to work with them. So anybody out there who is really unwell and really sick, then they're going to need to get professional help. And I want to share this because I mean this. I had a mental health breakdown in 2017 and I went and got professional help, and it's the best thing I'd done. I wouldn't be here otherwise. And obviously, I found God again, right? And I don't push my faith on other people because I don't think that's right unless people ask me, and I can share my story. But I got help. I prayed to Jesus. I read the Bible, had to go in hospital, had therapy, had doctors, had mental health support workers. Family were great. Couple of close friends, not many, helped me. And then I was able to help myself and recover and get well again. Off the medication, well, running my business, and so forth. I'll get to your question, my friend, just a second, right? So yeah, anyone out there who is suicidal, can't cope, please speak to your parents and ask for help, because the help's out there. And there's no shame at all in asking for help. It actually takes a lot of courage. It took me, I remember a friend said to me, he's, I wouldn't say his name, but he's a client of mine and we became close friends. And he said, you know what, Jonathan, I admire that you got the help, that you put your ego and pride aside because you were a successful teacher. And that must have not been an easy thing to do. And I said, well, at a certain point, it was easy because I was in a place of, I had no choice. I was rock bottom. I was unwell. I was powerless. I was weak. I was vulnerable. And I knew in my instincts that if I didn't get help, I would die. I wouldn't make it. And I wanted to come back stronger and tell the story and get on and have a great life and enjoy my life. So I hope that everybody would feel good about getting the help, because now you wouldn't feel that you're being judged by me, which 100% you're not. And you wouldn't worry about other people, because I'll just say this, and I mean this kindly. If someone judged someone for having a mental health problem and needing to get help, all I could do is say, we should pray for that person, because that is so unkind. That is so no compassion, that anybody that would do that wouldn't be in a good state themselves. But I'm not going to say much more than that, right? But everyone needs forgiveness at some point. And I lost a lot of friends. I had my close friends. I lost a friend who I love dearly to suicide, to mental health. Another one of my friends that I love, my childhood friends, please God, he's still alive, but he's mentally unwell. And he's an amazing person. So I've lost quite a lot of friends, people around my area. So it's not a laughing matter, even though I've got a great sense of humor. There's a time to laugh, but right now isn't the time. So especially for men, a lot of men have a hard time saying they need help, because they think that if they do that, then everybody, society, especially women, which isn't true, is going to think that they're a weak man. You're not a weak man, you're a strong man. And, someone who's in that position needs help. I like to reference Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury, what's the right word to say it? Tyson Fury is a kind human being. Tyson Fury overcame a mental health breakdown. I've got his book, and Tyson Fury has a chapter which is beautiful to men and women, but especially for men who feel that they are weak. If the heavyweight champion of the world, who weighs 270 pounds and is almost 7 foot tall, if he can be on his knees and be close to suicide and crying and saying, God, please help me, there is no shame for me or for any man of any age, of any background, whatever his status is in life. I couldn't care less to get help. And that's what makes Tyson Fury the real deal. Not just a champion in the ring, which is fantastic, but a real good man, because he's saving lives. He saved his own life. So if we save our own life, we can help other people as well. That's brilliant. And the same, when I was in hospital, when I was in the Gordon Mental Hospital, it wasn't just men that were in hospital. There were men and women that were suffering. And like I said before, on my recovery, I was helped. I was treated unbelievably well by men and women. So that's what motivated me and inspired me in the last, I don't know if it's been a few months or a year, to make a decision that I'm going to coach and help both men and women. That experience changed everything for me, and I'm over the moon about it. So this will give you a bit more context and thing. Right, let's read this question. I'm doing brilliant, Ethan. I'm doing great. How are you? Is that Ethan that used to come on my streams before? Because I've got a really close friend, Ethan. I don't know what Ethan it is, but whoever it is, good to see you. So Seth, hi Jonathan. I'm having a pretty bad social anxiety. I've a good paying job, but I feel like quitting lately because I don't have anyone to talk to at work, and I've become a loner at work. No, I can understand that. Oh, that's great. You're Irish. That's nice. Yeah, I understand how you feel. Well, I think the first thing that you've done, which is great. I don't know what your real name is, right? I think the first thing you've done, which is really brave, is you've got it out, and that's so important for men and women to get it out. So that's a good start. That would make you feel better. So that's great. The next step is, I mean this kindly because I know this isn't easy. Is what are you going to do about it? Because if you don't do anything about it, then the problem isn't going to get resolved. But you have started already. And I want you to speak a bit more on it because I don't know if you're asking me for my advice or you just need to get it out. And if you need to get it out, that's brilliant. By the way, this is a technique, a social skill that I developed through coaching that just came to me through working with good people. And it's also how I like to be treated. And so if I'm ever working with someone, if I'm in a conversation with a friend, or especially in a client relationship, if I feel that I'm going to offend them, or I don't know if they're asking me for their advice, I'll simply just say, do I have permission? Would you like me to give my thoughts on it or tell you what I think you should do? And if they say, yes, please, then I'll tell them. If they say, no, I'd rather you not, because it might be sensitive, it might hurt their feelings, but they just want me to listen, then I'm happy to do that. Sometimes, we don't always need an answer. We just need someone that cares to listen to get it out. By the way, guys and girls, I'm not being rude when I look down. It's because I've got my phone and I write a lot of notes on my teaching, my experience. It's an ongoing thing, so I have to journal because otherwise I forget it, and I like to bring it to the stream. I think it makes it more authentic and fun, and I enjoy it, and hopefully everyone else does. Right, so where are we? So, yeah, what I'd recommend for that, Ethan, I'd recommend that you work on your confidence relationship with yourself, because these anxieties that surface on dates and with improving the quality of your relationships with women, it always comes back to yourself. It always comes back to how you feel. So I like to ask my clients the question: how are you living your life? Do you go to the gym? What's your diet like? Are you socializing? Are you practicing good ethics? How are you treating people? These are the questions that are challenging, but if you've got the courage to answer these questions, your confidence will improve. So to come back to the question, I was having a coaching session today. So my client was saying, and I've had this, there are anxieties that surface from the pattern, and the pattern is from childhood. And you're welcome. Thanks for answering, Jonathan. It's the truth. I can only work on anxiety. What are your thoughts on medication? Well, my first thoughts on medication are I'm not a doctor, so I am not going to prescribe anyone on medication. So the best thing to do is speak to professionals about medication. But what I am going to do is I'm going to share my story with medication, and maybe that can do something for you. So I wasn't really for medication, never really been for it. But when I was unwell, I was so unwell, I decided to go on medication because I needed the medication. I spoke to my dad about it. I really made my own decisions. And so I went on the medication, and the medication helped me because it was very hard for me to get through my mental health breakdown without the medication. So I took the medication and it did help me. And I consulted doctors and got their opinion, and they recommended that I not stay on the medication for more than 2 years, which I did. And then I come off the medication when I didn't need it anymore. So I'm off medication, and I don't have any. It's good that you asked me, because a part of my story is helping anyone out there, any men and women, to not feel ashamed about medication, because it's one of those areas where people feel embarrassed. I don't feel embarrassed or ashamed because I overcame it. I just don't, with what I've been through. So yeah, I went on it, but that doesn't mean that everyone else should go on it. But I think it's a decision that you've got to make, and you should speak to your doctor, your family, and come up with your own decision at the end of the day, right? So that's what I can speak on with the medication. I keep going to answer the question. So the question is that it for everybody is okay. Well, I know what my anxieties are, and I know what I want to do in my life, but I can't get myself to face my anxieties, whatever they are, whether it's public speaking, it's starting a business, or it's just dealing with your everyday anxiety. And what I said to my client was, he asked me, how did I do it? And I had to find purpose in my life. I had to find a bigger reason. I had to find a reason to live. I had to find a reason to find my courage. Otherwise, I couldn't do it. I was too frightened. And in my experience, that's been what I've observed through 12 years of coaching people in all the areas of anxiety, men and women, whether it's been financial, relationships, traveling, moving forward, opening up, how in all these different areas, starting in the gym. If people don't have a purpose and a reason, it's very unlikely that they're going to find the courage to go and face it, unless nothing is completely in stone, unless they've got a coach that can give them the mental and emotional support and guidance to help them to help themselves, or they've got great friends, which usually is very rare, or they've got a parent or a therapist or an anxiety specialist or a doctor. Usually people, they can't do it. So the question is to all of you, your purpose, what's your reason? Now, I can't give you your purpose because it's not mine. I can't give you the reason. All I can do, which is teach and share my story with you to inspire you. And I'll share my story again to answer that question. We'll go over it. So when I was in my 20s and I was at my worst, couldn't come out of the house, was paranoid, couldn't hold eye contact, was frightened of it, was frightened of my family, was frightened of people, was frightened of living, frightened of dying, frightened of moving forward. So I got so depressed that I became suicidal. I started to think in my head that if I killed myself, I could escape the pain and the suffering of everyday living with this anxiety. But another part of me said, I'm too scared to do that. I don't want to kill myself. I'm frightened of that. Thank God. So then I was left to, my mum was brilliant. I don't know how she's done it. Oh man, thank God my mum was there for me whenever I really, and my nan and my dad at times, but I didn't ever always have the courage to come and see my dad because I felt ashamed. So at that time, my mum, my nan, were keeping me alive. But even so, I lived on my own. And at a certain point, I couldn't always rely on them. So I got to a point where I had no one to turn to. I was on my own. I was lonely. I was frightened to death. I was paranoid. I was unwell. So I turned to what I've always turned to when things get really bad and there's no way out. And I turned to God. And I just said to God, look, God, I don't know if you're real. I think you're real. And I don't know if you're going to help me. Please, Jesus, please, God, please help me. Don't leave me like this, because I'm dying here. I'm in agony. I'm frightened every day. I'm frightened every day. I don't want to come out of my house. I don't want this anymore. I want to live a normal life. I want to feel normal again, like I did at certain times in my childhood where I had friends. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't frightened people were going to harm me. I wasn't scared of life. Please, God, whatever I've got to do what you can do for me and I'll do the rest. Please give me the strength, God. If you give me the strength, I'll do the rest, but I can't do it on my own. I'm powerless. So after praying, I felt massive relief and I cried, and the crying made me feel free. And then not so long after, I discovered Les Brown. I think my prayers were answered. And when I listened to Les Brown's motivational message, it literally made me feel the way that any person feels who's got anxiety, who's really in a bad place. I felt loved. I felt safe. I felt confident. And I felt so motivated. Les Brown helped me to find my purpose, because I didn't know what my purpose was in life. I didn't know. I thought I was to be a footballer, and it wasn't that. I thought it was to be an actor. It wasn't that. I thought it was to be a champion boxer. It wasn't that. But deep down, I always knew it was to help people, but I just didn't know how. How? So Les Brown said, when I listened to his message, you've got greatness in you. It's possible you can live your dreams. It doesn't matter your background, where you come. It's not about where you are. It's about where you're going. And if you can look up, you can get up. You will fail your way to success. All these beautiful affirmations that he said, it's something inside ignited and it resonated. And a lot of the things he said to me were things that my dad said to me growing up, about working hard, about respecting my mum, about cleaning the dishes. There were certain values and truths, and even that I felt from my faith, that Les Brown connected on. And it made me so determined. And it broke me out of that space. Even though I was in the same apartment in Fulham Broadway, a small apartment, it woke me up. I came out of that space and I felt human again. I felt normal again. I felt confident. Despite obviously being frightened, I come into a point where I actually said out loud, I'm not having it anymore. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die. If people criticize me, if they hate me, if they don't love me, if I fail, I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. It's not that I didn't care about people. I don't care about their opinions anymore, because I've suffered so much. It doesn't matter what they say to me. There's nothing they can say to me what I haven't said to myself already, what my own negative mind hasn't said. So there's nothing they could say that I haven't heard. And the things that my own mind has said to me are so nasty and unkind that they couldn't say anything worse to me. And this whole perspective just changed. I changed before I changed. And then it was about taking action. And then I realized my purpose is I want to help people. But of course, before I help people, I've got to help myself. You can't help people if you're not helping yourself. How can you help people to be brave if I'm not being brave? So I said, right, all my fears are getting faced, all of them. And at that time, I didn't write my fears down, but I knew what my fears were. And I knew what my dreams were. My dreams and my goals and my vision was in my fears. My fear was, I wanted to get a girlfriend, but I was frightened. I was frightened of women. I was frightened of asking them out in case they thought I was ugly and they laughed at me and they rejected me. I was terrified. So I thought, I need to face that. I need to face my fear of dating and speaking to women and looking for a relationship. I made a note of that. My second fear is money. I'm terrified of money because I grew up poor and I had a belief that I don't deserve to make money. And it's just it's not possible for me. So I thought, right, make a note of that. I want to get a job. I want to be employed. I want to do what I love. My next fear was I've got terrible social anxiety and I need to go out and start talking to people. I need to do public speaking. I need to go to groups. I need to get mentors. I need to meet new people. I need to start to open up, and I need to go to the boxing gym, because I wanted to box my whole life. I was terrified of boxing. I was terrified of being found out that I was nervous around other men. So I thought, right, I've got to go to the boxing gym, I've got to go to the weightlifting gym, and I've got to come outside of West London. And then I realized I also need to face my fear of, what other fear was there? They were the main fears that I had: public speaking, boxing, weight training, dating, getting a relationship, making money, starting my own business. They were the fears that were the main fears that I had at that time, at that particular time in my life. So that's what I'd done. I systematically faced those fears. I faced the fear of talking to women until I got a date and eventually got a girlfriend. That was my dream. I faced the fear of public speaking, and I got more confident and comfortable in groups, and I eventually did my own public talks in my business. I faced the fear of going on camera, and I faced the fear of boxing and become an amateur boxer. Had a boxing fight. I got beaten fair and square. No excuse. I got knocked out. I got back up, but I lost. But I was proud of myself for doing it. And I did boxing and I loved it. Boxing changed my life. Boxing helped me to do what I'm doing now, live my purpose. It helped me in every area. So I faced all these fears. And in facing these fears, I healed a lot of my childhood trauma. I become a better person. And I got out of that space and I wasn't suicidal anymore. So that's the first part of my story, of my journey from age 20 all the way up until age, wow, time goes quick when you're having fun. So that was from age 20 till about age 30, 29. And I became successful in the way in which I thought success was. Now I wouldn't term success like that, because my whole perspective has changed. But that was then, and I learned a lot. And then later on, when I was learning about therapy, a therapist said exposure therapy is the best therapy for social anxiety. And when I studied, I was, I never heard that term. Oh, that's what I teach. I didn't even realize it. It's just because it's a professional term. And that's what I did. I did exposure therapy myself. And then I started to teach it to men. So once you know what your purpose is, it's a lot easier to go and face your anxieties. So again, I don't know what all of your purpose is for men and women, but all I know is that you have a purpose, and everybody does, which is a beautiful thing. But obviously it takes courage to face it. And those of you that might say to me, Jonathan, I don't know what, that's fine for now. That's part of figuring this out, because there was a time in my life I had no idea what my purpose was. I remember when I was on job seekers allowance, and they put me on these courses to get back to work. And I remember going to these careers advisors. Some were brilliant, some were not so brilliant. And they'd ask me, they'd sit down and go, Jonathan, what is it you want to do? And I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. I just wanted to get a job and work and not be broke and not be on benefits and contribute to society. But that really wasn't what I wanted to do. So I had to go for a stage of doing all different types of jobs, which I'm grateful that I did. And they gave me respect, humility, and they played a part of what I'm doing now. So I was a postman, which I really enjoyed for several years, but that wasn't my life purpose. I worked in construction, which I didn't enjoy, but I appreciated it, and it taught me about hard work, but that wasn't my purpose. Then I worked in retail, which I didn't enjoy, but I appreciated having a job, and I did it for as long as I could. It made a living. It helped me to pay the rent and get by in life, but that wasn't my purpose. Then I worked on market stalls selling shoes, and I actually really enjoyed that of a friend, but that wasn't my life purpose, but I appreciated it. So I had to keep going until eventually I figured out what my purpose was, and it was to become a public speaker, a writer, and a teacher, and to teach people and do what I've been doing for the last 12 years. I absolutely love it. So finding your purpose or your reason or your passion is what you need to do. And if you don't find that, then it's going to be very, very difficult to motivate yourself to face these anxieties, which are going to be scary, uncomfortable, at times terrifying, but it isn't always going to be like that. It changes, like all relationships and with all practice. So I'm not trying to scare people, but I'm going to give you the truth, because if I don't prepare you, you're going to be mentally and emotionally weak and unprepared. But I want to inspire you. And this has been my experience, and it's also been the experience of people that I've learned from. So what I would say, if you don't know what your purpose is, ladies and gentlemen, then spend some time figuring out what it is. And often people need to figure out what they don't want to do. People always know what they don't want to do in their life. I personally believe, I could be wrong. That's fine if I'm wrong. That's part of learning and teaching. But I personally believe deep down that every man and woman knows what their purpose is, but they're petrified of it. They're afraid to admit it and acknowledge it, because to do that, you've got to work through a lot of your own private anxieties. But I'm encouraging you to do that, because when you do it, you're going to feel what I feel right now. It feels amazing. You can't put a price on this feeling, this connection. It feels right because it is right. But to get to this point, you're going to have to go through some bumps and bruises and uncomfortable emotions, but it's going to be worth it, in my opinion, my experience. And you can figure that out for yourself. So, speak to a friend, speak to someone who cares. Get a mentor, get a coach, or sit down somewhere where you feel relaxed, whether it's at home, in a park, and get your phone and do some brainstorming, do some writing. This is all common sense. All of what I teach is simple. It's common sense, but it takes courage to do it. And that's what people who have an anxiety disorder, they lack courage because they lack clarity, because they lack experience. They've got the wrong relationships around them, not living correctly to build this strength. I think the mistake that a lot of people make, men and women, is they try to be too perfect. And that's the trap of anxiety. Because the anxiety will do whatever it can, the identity, which is not who you are, but it will convince you that I'm that. Yeah, I need to be perfect. I'm ashamed. I can't come on camera. Well, if you believe that, you're never going to get there then. It's better to fail your way to success and grow into it. I'd rather do something and everybody laugh at me and everybody judge me than sit at home and be frightened all the time, because I know that I'm not going to give up. I'm going to come back, and I'm not worried about their opinions because I know what I'm capable of from experience. And I like failing, because for me, failing is succeeding, because that movement, that experience is beautiful. And then you're not lying on your deathbed years later going, I regret my whole life because I lived as a coward and I lived for the opinions of other people who had no investment in my happiness whatsoever. So purpose and meaning give you the strength. Now, let me go into a bit more of what purpose means, certainly what it means to me. And I think this will help a lot of people and men. Purpose is not just about yourself. If purpose was just about yourself, then you're not going to do it. It won't be right. If purpose was just about me, then I wouldn't want to live. There's no point. It will not work. But of course, ego, ignorance will convince you that that's what you want. And people got to sometimes go down that road, and they got to learn that until they suffer so much they realize this isn't fun anymore. So for me, my purpose was, I want to face the truth and find out who I am and live from that place and help other people. So purpose is about serving other people, making a difference to other people. Guess what? Any good person with a good heart who's living their dreams does that automatically. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't fulfill your own selfish needs. Absolutely. If you can't love yourself, how can you love other people? If you can't feed yourself and look after yourself, how can you be good to others? So that's fine, but there's a balance. So Les Brown done the same. He lives what he teaches. I've been following Les Brown for more than 15 years. He lives it, he breathes it, he's consistent. And he served me and changed my life from when I was suicidal about age 23 to 25, and he's still doing the same now. He didn't charge me a penny. He didn't charge me a penny. He done it for his free material. So there's no excuses for anyone. Anyone who says, well, I can't afford your coaching because it's expensive. My coaching is expensive and I don't apologize for it because I'm worth it. But you're getting the teaching for free. So those that don't have money, those that don't want to spend the money, well, you don't need to. You're getting it for free. But if you don't have any gratitude, if you're ungrateful, then it's not going to be enough because you're in a place of selfishness and that's where you're at. And I don't take that personal. But I'm just explaining to you what this entails. So purpose will give you everything in life if you live it and you're honest and you're true. And that doesn't mean being perfect, but you are honest with it. You'll become financially free. You will have good relationships with yourself, with others, and you will change other people's lives. David Goggins lives his purpose because he's changed my life. He's inspired me. And rightly so, he deserves to be a multi-millionaire who has as much money as he deserves it because he's gone to hell and back and he changed his life and he's changed other people's lives. So when you live your purpose, the beautiful thing about it is it helps so many people. Now, of course, if you're a greedy person, if you just care about yourself, if you're just all about yourself, then you're going to do that. And that's none of my business. But from my walk of life, what I've learned, you won't be happy. You won't be happy. You could have billions. You could have the best house in the world. You could have cars, money, planes. You could have 1 billion followers. You'll be in darkness. And that's one of the lessons that I feel that I'm called to share with people, to educate them, at least to give them a choice. Now, obviously, people are going to do what they're going to do anyway. But at least I'm sharing the truth of what I've learned. So it's important to really understand who you are or who you want to be and the reason. So for me, from my heart, when I suffered at many stages, I know what it's like to suffer. I know what it's like to want to kill yourself because you're in so much pain. I know what it's like to be poor. I know what it's like to feel abandoned. I know what it's like to not trust, all those things. So when I was in those places, when I come out of those places and got into a good place, and I experienced what it feels like to like yourself and to feel loved and to have money and to be a good person and to have confidence and to live and have peace, I said to myself, I have to teach this to people. I have to. It's my purpose in life. It's either that or death. And teaching the highest joy. And like my mentor says, and like all good people say, and what my nan would say and what my nan taught me, when you teach from your heart, when you live your purpose and you're genuine, those things come anyway as a result from doing good work, from being good. The money comes and you deserve the money, the relationships, your confidence, all the materialistic things that most people are dying to get. I'm not saying that it's bad to live in a nice house. I live in a nice place and have nice clothes and to look after yourself. I appreciate that. But I don't value those things more than I do human life, happiness, God, love, things that are really important, that we all take for granted at times, myself included. I don't value those things more because of what I've gone through in my life, what I've experienced and what I've learned. So really want to give you something today from the heart, because if it's not from the heart, then you're not going to get enough value from it. It's not going to wake you up. It's not really going to speak to your heart. So millions of people that are lived, that are no longer with us, when they've lived their purpose, they've helped so many people. That should be a motivation. So when you get days when you're saying, I'm frightened, I'm afraid, I'm scared, I don't want to be hurt. Why am I doing this? Why should I pursue my dreams? Because you're going to save so many people's lives. You're going to inspire them. And it's going to do the same for you. You can't treat others and it not affect you. So it's a beautiful thing. And that's what inspired me to come back after being successful when I had a mental health breakdown, because I didn't have to come back. I could have stayed on benefits my whole life. The government would have paid for my rent. They'd pay for my food. I could have done that. And the idea of that, I was like, that's tempting, because then no one can harm me. No one can bother me. and I can just sit at home all day and eat Pringles and cakes and ice cream and watch Netflix, and I can just relax and say, well, I was successful in my 20s. When I die, I can just, but no, something in my heart said, no, I can't do this. This is bigger than me. God's brought me back. He saved me. He didn't have to. But he did. He answered my prayers and got me through. Many good people did. So I felt it was my duty to come back and tell my story. And that's been amazing. That's been an amazing journey from 2017. It's been tough, just how I like it. It's been beautiful up until the present 2023. And then obviously a close friend of mine that I love, who's one of the best friends I've ever had. Sadly, he passed away. He took his own life several months ago. And what he's taught me from his life and from our time is to speak the truth. Put your selfishness aside, my own selfishness, and speak the truth and help people. And enjoy your life. Don't take life so serious. And he also taught me about dieting, training from a place of love and passion. I wouldn't be in the shape if it weren't for him. I would not look the way I look if it wasn't for my friend who passed away. He taught me about this. How did he teach me? By not judging me. He didn't judge me. He didn't force it on me. He lived it. He looked fantastic. He looked amazing. He lived it. He was disciplined. He had a great diet. He was in great shape. And being around him, our friendship. And I asked him at times, can you help me? And he helped me. So when your purpose, when your reason for living is bigger than just yourself, you're going to have a lot more strength and life is going to be amazing. What my thoughts are on spirituality in regards to coming over anxiety? Well, spirituality is a big one, and everyone's got their own thing. But I can speak from my faith. I believe in Jesus. I'm a Christian, but I respect other people's faiths. So I would say, for me personally, I couldn't have overcome anxiety and continued to overcome it. It's an ongoing thing. I couldn't do it without my faith, because I tried to do it without my faith on my own, without God, without faith, and I could do it to a certain point, but then I'd always fail. I would always fall apart because my own ego, my own lack of understanding, my own ignorance, and my own frailties. So I couldn't do it without faith. So I guess to answer your question, it's kind of a yes answer. And people that I've learned from, they couldn't do it without their faith either. But again, that's going to be for each and every individual to learn for themselves. But if somebody asks me, then I'll say, yeah, reading the Christian Bible saved my life and give me the strength. You're welcome, man. Appreciate it. But like I said, I respect everybody because everybody's got their own faith. And it's not my purpose. I don't feel God's called me to force my faith on other people, because I just don't think that's right. And I wouldn't appreciate somebody forcing their faith on me if I didn't want it. And people did do that to me at certain points in my life, and I didn't like it. I didn't think it was kind. So treat people how you want to be treated. But nonetheless, I'm going to share my testimony. And yeah, without Christ, without Jesus, without the Bible, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it twice in my life. So it certainly got me through. But of course, our own human effort is important. We are living in a practical world, and I couldn't do it without people as well. So good people, like I said, my mum, my nan, my dad at times, therapists, coaches, mentors, good people, good friends. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a great thing that we have one another. If we really want to live a better life and live an inspired life, regardless of our anxieties. But listen, it takes time with this stuff, so I don't expect people to watch this live. I mean, it can happen, definitely can happen. It's happened for me. But the reality is, men and women, those of you that are going to come and watch this stream, who will be drawn to it, it's the right time, whatever, it's going to take you some time to do this. And that's different for everyone. I can't give you a time. I can share my story. It took me about 18 months when I was in my 20s to overcome my anxieties and change my life. But obviously, I'm different. That was a different time. You might do it quicker or longer. And then the second walk of my life, the second deeper battle of anxiety, took me from 2017 all the way up until now, the present 2023. So 17, 18, 19. So it's 6 years, 6 years, because I had a very bad mental health breakdown, and it was very vicious, very aggressive, and I had to do a lot of work to come back. So yeah, 18 months on the first walk of my life. It took me to overcome anxiety. On the second chapter, 6 years. Now, of course, I still live with anxiety like everyone else, and I have to continue. But my relationship with it is so much better because of faith, because of experience, and because of living my purpose and knowing what my purpose is, and the continuation of the daily disciplines. Now, to simplify this for men and women to get started, whatever stage you're at, I've wrote this down. I've actually made a video that I'm going to upload, because obviously it can be quite heavy and quite deep, which I understand, which is a beautiful thing, but people need things broken down. So did I. So what I'd recommend you guys and girls to do is practice daily discipline, which is a combination of gratitude every morning. Be thankful, even if it's hard to be thankful when you're going through challenges. Still, it's very important. Exercise regularly. I'm not saying that men and women should exercise every day. That probably is a bit too much, because even I don't do that. I train hard, but I have a couple of days to recover. But I'd say at least 3 times a week. And an exercise which works for you. I personally love running. It might be different for you. I love running and boxing. I do like weights and swimming, but my favorite exercise at the moment is going for a run. If you need to see me running to motivate you, can go on my Instagram page and on my YouTube channel if you need motivation. So wake up in the morning, gratitude, exercise, socialize. Don't be on your own all the time, especially for men who tend to isolate away. Speak to family, speak to friends. Try and meet up in person with people. I'm not saying that you've got to socialize every day, because I think that's a bit extreme, because I like to have my own space. Most people do. Most of my clients do. Understanding people more, and anxiety sufferers, usually people with anxiety, are fearful of intimate relationship and meeting people until they get to a certain level of confidence and they've got the right relationships, which is great. But they like to have their space, and that's a nice thing as well. We need time to reflect. We need time to enjoy on our own. So it's a balance. Everything is balanced, like he says in The Karate Kid. There is a balance with exercising, not overdoing it, not underdoing it. So 3-4 times a week, and then you have some rest. There is a balance between socializing. So, seeing family and friends maybe once a week or twice a week if that feels right. Or for people that might need lesser time, maybe once a month. As long as you're consistent, you're going to have good mental health, good confidence, and all these things play a part in overcoming the anxiety and living your purpose or achieving your goals and dreams, etc. Another thing for daily discipline, be on top of cleaning your apartment, your responsibilities, and be creative. We are creative, men and women. So create, work on your business, or if you're going to work, give it the best that you've got. What else is there? So yeah, gratitude, exercising, socializing, eating healthy, and working on your career. So the way that you overcome an anxiety disorder and live your purpose for men and women is taking action on your anxieties. And I've spoken about that throughout the course of this hour. Becoming aware of your anxiety patterns and not feeding them. And I spoke about that as well. And I will cover that in more videos. The awareness. Now, if you're not aware, then that's when you need to get help therapy or a confidence coaching session with me, or a program, or watching more videos. I also recommend don't just watch my channel. Learn. I'm sure you're going to do it. Go online. There are a lot of great stuff from men and women on anxiety healing, on all these different areas. There's some great stuff out there. I was surprised. Go online, do research, subscribe to other channels. Now, if you resonate and you feel comfortable with my channel and you want to stay with that for now, that's great. Do what feels right. That's got nothing to do with me. Follow your intuition, your heart, it will tell you. If my stuff's not right for you, follow that. That means it's not right. Brilliant. So you got to, use your common sense. So taking action on your anxieties, being aware of your patterns, not feeling them, giving value. The way that you give value to people is by treating them how you want to be treated, being kind. Looking after your mental health through exercise and dieting. Building good relationships with people. So I've explained that. So that's the truth. That's how I did it twice in my life. That's how I continue to do it. That's how my clients are doing it. That's how my mentors have done it and doing it. And that's how you can do it. So from now moving forward, I'll ask the question again. And you have to keep asking it. What's your purpose? What do you want to achieve in your life? And why do you want to achieve it? What is it? What is it? Because until you don't know what that is, you're not going to move forward. Now, if you know what it is, brilliant. The next question might be, why are you not doing it? Because you're scared to do it. You're afraid. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid of success. You're afraid of pain. You're afraid of shame. You're afraid of people judging you. These are things that you're going to have to face and overcome if you want to live your dreams. Now, you might say to me, well, I kind of am living it, but I'm not fully committing to it. I understand that pattern. I coach clients through that. I've had that. That's obviously the same information. Because sometimes living your purpose 20% is just as good as not living it at all. Now, if you said to me, I'm living it 99.9%, still need to stay on the channel. Why are you not living it 100%? Fear's holding you back, anxiety. So it's all about committing. And I've learned on my journey, at different times, different people need time. Some people can just go, right, that's it. Can't do it anymore. Can't live in fear, depression, suicidal feelings. Can't do this anymore. All out now. I'm going to face everything. Some people can do that. And I was fortunate at a time in my life where I could do that. But not everyone can do it. And on the second walk of my journey, I couldn't do it all in one go because I weren't strong enough. So I did it gradually. I think the safest option is for men and women to do it gradually so they can grow into it. But nonetheless, whether you do it all in one go or you do it gradually, you want to make a commitment to do it. Now, I think honesty is important. Be honest. If you know in your heart right now that you can't do it, it's too over, that's fine. That's fine. I understand that. You're not ready. That's not over. Time. Take some time. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate what you've got right now, even though you might not be happy. You can still find gratitude. I learned that through a mental health breakdown. Success taught me that. Losing things taught me that. Many things. So be patient. Come onto my live streams, watch videos, spend some time, do some praying or speak to friends, do some exercising. Things take time. And when you feel ready, then you're going to do it. So we're going to end the stream in a few more minutes because I feel that's enough now for today, because I did a 2-hour live stream earlier on, and I'm going to have some food. I'm starving, really hungry. So any last questions that you want to ask me, go ahead now. I'll answer them now. If not, then that will be it. I've got other live streams that you can check out. Let's have a look here. Book recommendations. Yeah, I recommend this book. 1 second. Tyson Fury's book, I recommend, Behind the Mask. I think this is a brilliant book for any sufferer of anxiety, mental health, anyone that's looking for purpose in their life, because Tyson Fury's book really outlines the same values and principles of my journey, rediscovering purpose, rediscovering faith, and taking your own life and getting the help that you need and getting yourself back well and enjoying life again. It's a great story. I haven't read all of it, but I read enough, and I know Tyson's story and he's inspired me. So I recommend that. But if I'm being honest, I don't recommend reading too many books, because books can be a defense mechanism. Books can be a rationalization, because if I read books, I don't have to go and face my anxiety. So you can't read books forever. At some point, you're going to have to face these anxieties, because reading books alone, in my experience, is not enough. You need to take action. But yes, books can help to give you some motivation and inspire you and give you some, hope. But you can't just read a book and rely on that. It's not going to be enough to get you through and to live your life. Because at the end of the day, we need people. We need a community. We've got to go out. We've got to pay bills. We've got to earn a living. We've got to go to the gym. We want to travel. These are things that make you live a full life. So be very careful of that. I've spoken about that before. But yeah, there is a time to read books. But even better, and even better truth, my client Phil was excellent with it, and I've really improved, because he's an avid action taker. Phil was brilliant to work with. One of my clients, he did a testimonial on my channel. He reads, he's well read, he's got a degree. He's got a degree as a doctor, but that wasn't his purpose. And now he's coaching men and women and helping them who have got social anxiety to live their purpose and dreams, and he reads. So if you read and you take a lot of action, then you're brave and you're intelligent. But there's a lot of people that don't do that. They just read theory and they don't take action. And that's why they don't change and they don't heal, because it's too much intellectualization. It's too much in the mind, where they're not developing their spirit. They're not fixing their emotions. So reading has its place, but I'll be very, very careful and mindful of making reading as a defense mechanism, as an addiction, because I've seen it. I've seen the pattern, and it's not good. It doesn't end well for people. So make sure that you practice public speaking at some point. Everybody's got to do public speaking. Maybe not in the classic sense, in how I like doing it, and Les Brown or Anthony Robbins, where you go on stage. But at some point, you got to go out of your family and to a restaurant or to friends and speak amongst the group. That's public speaking. You have to, otherwise you're not going to have any quality of life. And you can't learn that by sitting at home and reading a book and words, because the words don't give you fight or flight generally, unless you're reading a horror book. They don't teach you the tools that you need to learn. And that's to learn the tools to manage fear and anxiety in stressful situations until those anxieties diminish or they reduce. So I'll end on that, all right? So I appreciate everyone coming on, appreciate the support. I'm going to continue. And my purpose is to make a bigger impact on men and women, especially who have anxiety, to recover from it, to overcome it, and to live their purpose and live their dreams, at least to attempt to do it. That would be great, all right? Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. I learn a lot when I do these things. I'm really grateful, and I enjoy the time with everyone. And make sure you check me out on the other platforms. And any questions you've got, you can write them below my video. If anyone's interested in working with me, I will say that my coaching is very expensive, and I only work with committed people on my paid program. So if you're not committed financially, mentally, and emotionally, stick to all my free material. It's all online. It's all for free. And good luck. Good luck on your journey. All right. I'll speak to you soon. Have a great time.